and I decided to do our presentation on some possible dangers of owning a litter box in your home. We also decided to go over what we could find in our own litter boxes and how to lessen your exposure if this is a part of your home. Cats. They are adorable. Most people love cats, but there are some who are not fans. Either way, cats could care less. If you are a cat owner, that comes along with cleaning a cat box, especially if living in urban areas where cats are rarely permitted outside. As we know, cats have no boundaries. They walk all over your house after doing their business in their litter box. Cats are also possible pathogen carriers. So I'm going to cover some possibilities of what you might be coming in contact with, along with ways to prevent your spread of these pathogens around your home. One of the possible pathogens is Toxoplasma gondii, an obligate intercellular parasitic protozoan which can be found in cat feces. It is directly transmitted from cats to rats and then directly transmitted from cats to humans. Toxoplasma gondii causes toxoplasmosis, which is most commonly appeared as subacute encephalitis, which is also known as swelling of the brain. It is especially harmful to fetuses, causing brain and vision damage. And here is an informative video we found with other possible side effects.
It's a story that's gone viral on the internet. Is there a connection between cat litter and attempted suicides? A University of Maryland study looked at a parasite called Toxoplasma gondii and found that infected women had a 1.5 times greater risk of attempting suicide than women who were infection-free. Toxoplasma gondii is found in the intestines of cats and ends up in the litter box. It's why pregnant women are advised to steer clear of cat boxes. Dr. Theodore Postolacci was the senior author of that study that looked at 45,000 Danish women. But he cautions his research is a starting point. There are many other factors, he says, at play, including a person's genes and social and economic conditions.
There are in the world approximately 30% of individuals who have the chronic form of infection of Toxoplasma gondii. And it's only a minority of those who would attempt suicide.
Most of the focus online has been on cats, and most cats likely carry the parasite without symptoms. But in fact, cats are not the most common way people become infected. Most people are exposed from eating undercooked meat or unwashed vegetables or drinking contaminated water. The Maryland advocacy group Alley Cats Allies say their feline friends are getting a bad rap here.
I think the most important thing that cat owners should take away from the study is that they should continue to use the precautions that they want to in their life, but really that they understand that there's no reason, there's no panic, that the cause of toxoplasmosis in people really comes from undercooked food.
About a third of all people actually have a latent form of the parasite without showing any signs or symptoms. For healthy people, the parasite usually poses no problem. But Dr. Angela Marshall says it's a good reminder for expectant mothers and those with weak immune systems.
So, according to the CDC, 60 million individuals in the USA are infected with Toxoplasma gondii. Most cats and humans are asymptomatic carriers, as mentioned previously in the video. Signs and symptoms do not occur unless the host is immunocompromised or pregnant, also previously mentioned. The parasite is not infectious until 1 to 5 days after it is shed in cat excrement. And the portal of entry is the fecal-oral route. Our research also led us to a study performed on 300 domesticated cats to determine zoonosis by fecal coliforms. The study showed that most cats carried enteropathogenic E. coli, or EPEC for short. EPC can cause extreme diarrheic symptoms within its host. EPC also in the study showed up in 15 different strains which were isolated by serotyping. Only one of these strains turned out to be pathogenic, and its virulence was determined based on the fact that it had flagella, making adhesion possible within its host. and increasing its chance of infection. Renee and I decided to take samples from our own litter box at home, and our swabbing methods, we dumped out our cat box and swabbed the bottom and around the edges, and then filled it with bleach and water, 1 cup bleach and the rest water. Bleach is considered a halogen, and when in solution with water, releases hydrochloric acid, which denatures enzymes, suspending all metabolic reactions. It also eliminates endospores. We did have a procedural error. We left the DI water in our collecting tubes, so our samples sat in DI water for at least 24 hours. We inoculated our samples on a Friday, and by the following Tuesday, we had substantial growth on the plates inoculated with the before bleach swabs. And as you can tell, the after bleach swabs showed no growth, proving that bleach is in fact a sterilant, and there was actually no growth 12 days later. We decided to use Renee's sample because it showed much more growth than mine and would be a better test subject. We also decided or determined that there was 3 different types of growth based on color, size, and texture. So we then took those 3 samples and we isolated them. After we saw growth of the 3 isolated samples, we determined that there were not differences in the fact of their color or growth pattern or texture. They actually appeared to be exactly the same. We think that maybe the differences before were density or just the growing pattern of that particular colony. The first thing we did was simple stain them to determine morphology, and the morphology that we found was a mix of bacilli and cocci. Next, we did a gram staining, which the results from this determined that there were gram-positive and gram-negative microbes within each sample, with the majority being gram-positive. This made us to believe that there might have been a biofilm that was living within the litter box. The last final test that we performed was an oxidase test. This test determines whether a microbe produces cytochrome oxidase in its electron transport chain. Bacteriogena nicera and Pseudomonas are very common oxidase-positive microbes. Our results were positive, leading us to believe that some, if not all, microbes in the sample could in fact produce cytochrome oxidase. However, we would need much more testing to perform on our samples to determine what genus we were dealing with within our samples. So in summary, having a litter box in your home does increase your exposure to possible pathogens, but domesticated cats are not that serious of infection reservoirs. And to limit your risk, use protective wear when scooping the litter box, such as gloves or a face mask. And scooping should be done, if not every day, every other day, accompanied with monthly bleachings of your litter boxes. This, along with other preventative measures like disinfecting your house surfaces and bathing your cat, will make being a cat owner almost harmless. And here are our references.